morning.
Good morning. Thanks for coming. We're going to talk today about miscellaneous enhancements and changes to the software center that we might do this cycle. So we have a few other sessions that cover, we usually have some sort of bigger projects with software center. And we have some other sessions that cover those, but then we generally have smaller sets of improvements that we've eliminated and that we do. So that's what this session is to talk about. And we have a lot of the guys that have been working on software center here. So it's a good.
So just to clarify, the big features, ratings and reviews, and then donations and in-app payments. So the session is about everything else, basically.
What was that third one? Donations?
In-app payments.
In-app.
Which is not strictly about when you start pressing yourself, it's a general payment service that would use some of the same infrastructure.
So I put at the top of the Gavi document, there's a link to. Oh, great. Yeah. Put it right in. So there's like a bunch of stuff that we might talk about. It's just sort of a grab bag.
And Peter was kind enough to write down a list of more topics. So there's plenty of stuff to talk about.
Oh, okay. Good. All right, how do we want to start?
Well, let's start from top to bottom. I mean, improvements
to the lobby. So this Matthew was talking about.
I don't know, the lobby is a bit of an awkward space right now. I think kind of short on content to put there, and I mean it's something NPT has acknowledged. Like when you maximize the window, it's kind of a lot of empty space, really, half the screen at least. So I don't know. Would people out there with suggestions of maybe new content to go in there, or ways we can design it so I don't know, just the space is filled somehow, be it backgrounds or particular layouts that people think might utilize the space better. Basically all ears.
One thing Cindy and I were talking about was, I don't know if it's still the plan, but at one point the view was built with WebKit. Is this still the case?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Well, at the one point where it was WebKit, it would be possible to build templates with PHP and CSS where applications, since we have screenshots, could auto-make these little banners. It'd be really nice with transitions in between them.
Okay, so are you talking for like featured apps and
it could be any application since we have screenshots. They would just fill out little forms that would automatically apply fonts and CSS styles.
So there needs to be a way for individual applications to customize their own screen more than just the screenshot and the icon. If you look on other stores, they have custom background colors and background pictures, basically.
But it would be a step.
Yeah.
Saying it would be more of a low-hanging fruit, saying, look, we don't have to customize for everything. We can do something small that would have a large impact.
Yeah, because we also noticed that, for example, featured and what's new, they're just showing an icon and a name. So the user, to understand what the application is doing, has to click on them and go further, having more. Because actually it's just showing the name and a small icon, which usually is, for a new application, is not that amazing. So it doesn't provide for the user the curiosity to install and see the application from screenshots, or like, for example, Mac App Store is doing with the banners, so the user actually want to see more, investigating. So it's just a name and the firewall configuration. One user should click on install firewall configuration or Windows. We should provide screenshots or banners or whatever that to get the attention from the user.
Right. So one thing we would need for that is a place to host that extra work. seems like it would be an extension to the screenshots. So,
Yeah, either screenshots or the
Well,
software center agent.
yeah, I guess it needs to be something that's more under the control of the application developer
Right.
rather than a random screenshot contributor.
Yeah, I guess ideally we would interface with Launchpad, or at least using Ubuntu single sign-on, so that we. I mean, ideally, as an application author, and Launchpad would know about that you are the author, so you should have special privileges. You know, your screenshot is more important than a random screenshot, for example, if you are the author of the application. I mean, that would be ideal, but of course, there is some work required here in order to get to this point.
And we have to provide like a set of templates for them to use, because I mean, if we're using GDK right now, unless they can do a little. Like, are we just going to? Well,
I mean, if we just say, you know, provide a ping of this size or an SVG of this
okay,
size.
yeah, but then if we want accompanying text, are we going to use?
What
We're going to have
would
text.
the text be?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like, say if they have a picture and then they want to provide text, or you know, on top. So you have like a banner.
Yeah.
And are we going to have text in the banners, or are we just going to have?
Well, I mean, we have like the name and the description.
Yeah.
What text are you imagining?
I mean, yeah. Like, are we going to allow them to set custom text for, you know, like this is?
Well, I think we should come up with the use case for it first, and then
Okay.
worry about how.
Yeah, and it's kind of like in the list view, we have like the title, there's also the summary, which just gives you a little bit more of an idea as to what
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah. So, one thing that I would have liked to gotten to yesterday in my talk, but it didn't really fit in with the overall theme, was that perhaps our biggest interface problem, our design problem with Ubuntu Software Center specifically is poor data. Many applications have either no icon at all, as in FreeServe right there, or the icon's really small and crusty, as in with the Commodore 128 example right there, or their summary is poor, or their description is poor. And Fish and Alice have been doing a lot of good work in fixing up individual descriptions, but
It doesn't scale.
it doesn't scale.
And it also is bad for our search results, because bad descriptions means we like if we have bad data that we search, you know, we
Right.
don't get good search results.
And we have this especially if you're searching for a program that will do something, you don't know what the program is called. We have a keyword system in Ubuntu Software Center that could theoretically support this. You know, so you could fill out keywords with the kinds of words that you haven't used in the description, but that match the kind of job that the program does. But there's no way to enter these keywords. There's no interface for populating it. So what I would like is some sort of system where you can say, okay, for this package or this item, this is what I think the title should be instead. This is what I think the description should be instead. This is what I think the screenshot should be instead. And these are the keywords I think I should have. It's currently in this category. I think it should be in this category instead. Things like that. That's a single place where you can make suggestions for all of those things, and then the package maintainer can come along and say, yes, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Apply, and it builds.
Regarding keywords, when I'm searching, if the characters I've entered form the beginning of a keyword, could it suggest that kind of below it? You've seen on some websites, if you enter the beginning of a common search query, that you can click on what it is, sort of like.
We could do it, but we don't have a lot of search words currently, so we have like 10 keywords currently. Because, you know, we have to enter them manually, like me or, you know, one of the developers. And of course that doesn't scale, so we have a system where the users can actually contribute keywords. A bit like translations that Ubuntu.com, just, you know, translate package descriptions into more useful data.
This is kind of silly, but we have a new Ubuntu Stack Exchange website. It's very new, but very quickly we have a very large collection of questions with tags appropriately and the best answer already marked up. And this is almost the data you're looking for at Software Center. It's a section of tags and the best description.
Right.
So it's almost like you could roll the same process.
Yeah, so it's the sort of thing, proposing alternatives and then the alternatives get selected.
Yeah.
Probably don't need quite as sophisticated voting system. It's just is this obviously better than what we have now?
So anyway, sorry.
But this is currently lacking manpower. So if anyone is interested in writing a small server in Django, talk to us.
Can I ask, in terms of space on the main interface, or especially if you go into a sub-menu, like if you click on games right there, there's a lot of blank space.
I think some of the people don't know how keywords actually work for the description, right? Transmission does not even have the word torrent in it. Transmission does not even have the word torrent in it. So I think it's not listed somewhere how to write the descriptions of what should be the keywords and how the keywords work.
Yeah.
I think it should be written somewhere.
Yes, I agree. So yeah, there should be a web page somewhere saying,
This is what Software Center does. And
this is how to optimize your
this
project and your package. Yeah.
Is there a way for us to say, like, prioritize applications that we want to go through and really check their data? Because I mean, obviously some apps are going to be more important, than others. So maybe we should publish like a list of.
You mean rewarding those applications which have?
No, not really that. Just there are going to be apps that are better quality than others, and more likely people are going to install them. So maybe, I don't know, are we able to compile a list of those that we can then publish for people to go through and check their descriptions and stuff like that?
You could start with popcorn as a reasonable source for what people have chosen to be.
This is what we use right now. There's of course a heavy bias towards already installed applications, but I guess with ratings and reviews, we can start using ratings and reviews. And Evan had some interesting ideas about aggregating information about the bug count and developer feedback, this kind of stuff. That's also interesting.
Would it be useful to use the text of the reviews in the search?
It's interesting. It's worthwhile to try it. I mean, it's interesting.
One of the ways I often search for applications is better than the name of an application that I know does the thing that I'm looking to do. And it's usually interesting to find what comes up as being supposedly better than the thing I've heard of.
Right. So I expect that once we provide an interface for people to populate the keywords for an application, then they will start including the names of competing applications in the keyword field.
It's a quick, somewhat related thing to what we were saying earlier. Would it be useful to have the short package descriptions next to these icons when we have time or space? Or when we have space, I mean?
Yeah, I think that's what Matthew is getting at. That's a possibility.
It's something we toyed with initially.
Yeah, but it's. I kind of feel like it shouldn't be necessary. It should, the icon and the name should be good enough that you at least, if it's not obvious, then it at least invites you to look and see. And there are many other things that I would like to fill up the space with. With the Zeitgeist information coming, we could add recommendations to the screen, for example. Once we get enough items in the for purchase section, we can show the top selling items.
Just similarly, the subcategories can have the same thing. So games could have a featured game.
Sure, we can have featured games, featured music applications, featured office applications, and so on. And this gets onto the general problem of categorization. The categories we have at the moment, the top level categories and the subcategories to some extent, are from the free desktop menu standard, which is a good start. It's not necessarily the ultimate way of categorizing things, and with help from Charlene several months ago, we did some card sorting tests where we brought people in and gave them 100 post-it, or about 150 post-it notes with names and descriptions of applications and asked them to categorize them. And that's given us some ideas on, once we analyze the data, on how we can rearrange the top level categories, and then we can go do more card sorting on things like just the game section. You know, how should action games be separated from first-person shooters, from strategy games, from so on.
You've done the testing. I was very curious if people make any kind of association between the category in the Software Center and then the category in the Applications menu.
Yeah, so for that reason we didn't want to diverge too much. There are a couple of differences in the Ubuntu Software Center. Like, we have like developer tools instead of just programming, for example. But now that we're going to have Unity rather than the Applications menu, that gives us a bit more freedom to diverge the categories a bit more. But we're also hoping to update the actual menu spec. And for instance, who was here today said, if you have any more patches for me, just send them my way. So that's a good sign.
In terms of sourcing, we have MIME types for applications that we are acknowledgeable about, but we don't really use that as a method of sorting through Software Center. It might be useful to convert that into a tag automatically almost.
I don't know of a good way to present that. Maybe like if you dragged a document into a bunch of software there, it could show you the applications that are in the document, but yeah, that's a bit obscure. I don't know the better way of presenting that, or an obvious way of presenting that. So if you have ideas.
Well, I mean, it could be the file extension as a search tag, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking, that's the mechanics. I'm talking about the actual how you present it in the interface.
Right, I mean,
the search keyword.
Is someone
Yeah,
searching?
search an extension.
That could work.
And if a user opens an application that we don't have handlers on the system, then it would be nice to go to Software Center and say, well, these kinds of programs might be able to open what you just clicked on, right? And then Software Center say something.
So like codec handlers.
Sure. Yeah, and Ubuntu Software Center is not necessarily the best.
Right, it might
interface
depend
for
on,
that, but-
I don't know how many file types we actually don't handle by default anyway.
Well,
we used
give
to have this
drawings, for
feature.
example. Give them drawings, for example.
Right. But I mean, we used to have this feature in the map install, and it seems like, it's not missed that hard. I mean, it seems like we do a pretty good job of covering most of the needs. I mean, I think it's worthwhile to have it, but yeah, and it's probably pretty easy because we index MIME types now, so they will show up in searches, and you can search specifically for MIME types. That should all work.
So we'll
Pass this down.
But yeah, purchase experience is the next item on the list.
Yeah, so this improved a lot in the 2 or 3 weeks before release. But there's still a lot left to improve. The most obvious thing being that it can be more embedded into the main window itself, rather than opening up a separate window. And it can better show progress of the overall task, the downloading and installing and subscribing to the archive and that kind of thing. Apart from those two things, it's mostly server-side improvements that we need to work on to fine-tune the payment system and really show progress of that.
Like remembering if you had a purchase before, so you don't have to enter all your information.
Maybe
again.
your credit card details.
This kind of
which is something that the ISD are quite nervous about, but they need to do.
I was just wondering about the actual login screen where you put in your credentials and stuff. Which one are we going to go with? Because I know the ratings and reviews, we have a GDK one, which is quite nice.
Right. So this is one that Andrew Higginson, who was just there before, worked on, and then at the last minute we switched to the same one that Ubuntu One uses. Unfortunately, the Ubuntu One dialog is optimized for people who don't already have an account.
Okay.
So one of the at least one of the Ubuntu SSO developers is here this week, and I'll be working with her to redesign it and make it more like the original.
The goal is to have the GDK one. There are some, like I said, there's like as you said, there's some redesign that needs to be done, and there's also the issue that we need to solve the problem how to send the token in a secure way that ISD feels comfortable with. So currently you have to log in because they are not happy with the ways we can do it. This is just a technical problem.
Yeah. And are we going to be able to sort of like store for the session the credentials? Because at the moment, every time you click review something, it pops up. And you connecting dialogue and stuff like that.
Every time you...
Oh, like...
this is ratings and reviews?
Yeah, right. So, you still have the signing in?
Yeah, I guess so. But let's talk about it in the other session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the authorize is just, we need to sit down and do it. I mean, it's about, you give away your computer, you want to remove all the purchased software and all the purchased channels.
And not let other people submit reviews under your name.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. But actually, I mean, thinking about this, it's probably a larger project. I mean, if you want to sell or give away your computer, I mean, there is still a lot of stuff stored on your machine, like cookies and tokens.
That most of that is solved by deleting your user account.
Yeah.
So, but I guess the reason for this separate deauthorized thing is
it's the system thing.
System software. Yeah.
Zeitgeist.
Yes. So I was rather surprised when I tried out the reviews branch early yesterday morning. The Zeitgeist stuff was in the was in that branch because
there's a separate 3.0 branch. So there's a reviews branch based on trunk and a reviews branch based on 3.0.
Okay. I should check it out. Because we shouldn't be shipping 3.1 with I think Zeitgeist stuff, but it is stuff that we want to get in for that. Yeah,
this is, like I said, it's...
And we'll also need a bit more careful design than it's had so far. At the moment it seems to be based on on the 4.0 markup that I drew like a year ago, which was just one possible layout, and I need to work on others.
I mean,
showing other programs that can open the same kinds of files that I'm already opening is not necessarily that useful if I've already got a program that I'm happy with.
Yeah.
for example. But there are other things. For example, if a lot of people have previously uninstalled a program that I'm using now and have installed something else instead, then maybe I want to know about that because.
Yeah. So currently it's relatively simple stuff because in order to have the ability to match what other people are doing, we first need a server where we can aggregate this information.
Yeah.
And this is what Saif is currently working on, or his the Zeitgeist team, but it's not there yet. And we also need to be careful about it because Zeitgeist is really collecting a lot of information, so we need to be careful about privacy and also to informing people like from like it needs to be an opt-in basically where you can say I want to have recommendations and I'm willing to share anonymously my information in order to get recommendations.
Yeah, this is I guess the closest equivalent to this is the Genius sidebar or whatever it is in iTunes, where it's one button to turn it on and then it shows recommendations based on what you're listening to.
Yeah. So you're sort of saying he's got a prototype. My understanding is there's two approaches they're playing around with, like one where they use Ubuntu 1 and another one where they just have a standalone server. I'm not quite sure of the details. I don't know how much it's worth. And so where do we want to have like Zeitgeist type recommendations? Is that just going to exist in the lobby, or can we have uses in other places as well? Item screens for like for add-ons.
Yeah.
Maybe have suggested add-ons prior to like bombing them with a huge list of add-ons or something like that.
That's one possibility. I mean, for most things we don't have a problem with huge numbers of add-ons, but I guess we will. As the number of
say Firefox, for example.
As the number of applications increases. Firefox is one of a few examples, and Bazaar is another. But we could say people who installed this also installed this. Or people who looked at this and installed that instead, but like Amazon does. All sorts of things.
I have a question about screenshots. It's kind of thorny. It would be nice if screenshots appeared in the theme of the person using them, but there's no good way to solve it.
No.
I mean, but so would it be okay then to say prefer when you take a screenshot to use the default theme?
Somehow tag a screenshot.
Yes, I mean current, which is also awkward because currently screenshots.ubuntu.com is just an alias or a caching proxy for screenshots.debian.net, and Debian has a different default theme. So it's basically which operating systems contributors submit the most screenshots.
We kind of mitigate the problem a little bit by using the version number as well. So if you have a Ubuntu version number and there is a matching screenshot, then you get the Ubuntu C. But like I said, it's only mitigating it because what if we don't have a Ubuntu version because we just sync from Debian, So ideally we would have a tag maybe.
So I think probably the most effective way to address this is to produce a default theme that's so good that hardly anyone wants to.
Another issue with that is screenshots.debian.net. The web browser screenshots require that you be showing the Debian homepage, which is a little bit iffy because it's an ugly homepage. Quite frankly.
So that's starting to get to the point where maybe we want to consider having our own screenshots. So I'm just putting it out there.
Some other stuff we'd like to bring in. And there is a the server component first part of the agent which handles the payment system. And potentially we could build that application as a functionality.
I'm not sure if we need our own server, but definitely better separation. I mean, it's great to share screenshots because there are not so many screenshots. I mean, for a lot of applications, it's better to have a Debian one than to have none at all. But yeah, ideally, we should be able to get one in the right scene.
Yeah, and you know, there are other things we'd like to do to getting into or continuing with the general theme of making the item screen more exciting. Like for games, a short video would be quite often more interesting or more informative than a screenshot would. And for a few applications like speech synthesizers, an audio clip would be more interesting than a screenshot. So,
You can also use some HTML5 features like offline caching for screenshots. So we don't have to ask the servers for screenshots. Just if we have a local copy, we will use that. So this will work for when we are offline.
we don't need to change our presentation layer just to get the cache of screenshots.
Caching is.
We just save them in temp right now, so if we wanted to cache it.
And if we do in trunk at least, we do caching currently, or we don't, the cache is just cleared on reboot.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we want, easy.
Scrubby back.
Yeah, there might be a point where we don't want to, we might not want to talk about which one. Oh, you're like,
So are there any improvements to Software Center that have blocked or pending on Launchpad infrastructure stuff?
Yes.
Yes.
We discussed them already, and I taking over ground you've already talked about.
Not in this session. So the most critical one is that is archive metadata. The human-friendly name, and the summary, and the icon and the category for each application. Currently, we work around this with the app install data package and the app install data Ubuntu and app install data commercial packages for the Ubuntu archive and for partners respectively. But that doesn't work for PPAs, that doesn't work for commercial software.
Did we have consensus on the technical approach at the app level for that?
I think so, yeah. We talked about it in Prague at the sprint. We talked about it before Lucid. Pardon?
I had a vague memory.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it. Basically, we talked about this before Lucid.
Alright, so let's take it offline from this session. I'll just check there are bugs a few, and we can.
This is one of the things we would like to see, but it's unfortunately a big task, and Soyuz seems to be having a lot of other stuff on, to do. The other thing is what Matthew said earlier, that users should be able to change descriptions basically, or make suggestions for additional data like keywords, better descriptions. I mean, Launchpad has all the data anyway right now. Having it seems like the most natural way of doing it would be Launchpad, but if that's not possible,
you need something
then
a bit less formal than a bug, right?
yeah.
Yes, something where a contributor can go and say, this is the current description, this is where I think it should be instead. But a little bit like
we do for translations.
A little bit like translations, yeah.
A lot like.
But not just to the fields. It's also menus and stuff for choosing a new category and things like that. And then the maintainer can come along and say, okay, these are the suggestions that have been made for this package. I want this one, this one, this one, and hit some button, and either a new version gets built or that metadata gets updated ready for the next rebuild.
I'm not in a position to commit to any big stuff, but I will make sure that we've got the relevant bugs and we can inch them forward.
Right. So I know a Launchpad stakeholder, so I'll be reminding you of the next stakeholder.
I'll be reminding John.
Right.
Right.
That's right.
So there's an IRC comment asking about the other blueprints.
Oh, the other items, yeah. So we have a download bundle support, which is essentially just you click on an application and say, I want to create a download bundle for my friend who has no internet, and it will download the package and all the dependencies, and you can say, my friend has an Ubuntu computer, my friend has a different, like, a Ubuntu machine, for example, and it will get all the right dependencies for you.
So perhaps we can talk with the Uptime CD people about whether they would be interested in helping us
right.
do that.
You picked a back-end technology for that here? Because I've had this problem with a lot of the past and different things that come up.
The idea currently is it just builds a local apt archive, so a packages file on your USB stick, and then whatever daemon we use, like update notifier or maybe upstart in the future, upstart, but having some mechanism on your computer running that detects, oh, this is an add-on, medium, do you want to install the application, and then we can add additional information in this apt repository. So it will just work as an apt repository, but if you use it with Software Center, it will say, this is a download bundle for FreeSIF, and it will show you a screenshot of FreeSIF and also the icon for FreeSIF.
Now, how, if I wanted to make that bundle downloadable over the internet, which is a strange thing, but I have this use case,
right?
Would it be a file or would it be an image or?
I don't know, a tar file maybe. I don't know. I haven't thought about this, but it would also solve the problem of an add-on CD nicely. So an add-on CD would just be a download bundle basically. That might be useful for people like at Ubuntu who can't put all their stuff on one CD, for example, or they want to have a bundle for universities or for preschool or this kind of stuff.
You need to have a single file, but then we would need to define a new spec, right?
Yeah, a single file is kind of icky because, like at the lowest level, it's really just an apt repository, and it's nice to have this property because it means we can build on existing technology. But yeah, I mean, if it means just extracting the file at a defined place. Yeah.
Should we blaze through the rest of them in 5 minutes? Yeah. Proof of license info, I think that's still dependent on Debian stuff, is it?
Well,
or is it Cerise as well?
If I start talking now, the 5 minutes will be over. But
okay.
Essentially, I mean, aggregating the license information that we get from Debian is not interesting for most people.
Right.
There's
we currently say open source or
yeah.
proprietary, and we wouldn't want to stop saying that, but we'd like to give more detail in brackets afterwards. But lots of technical.
And the trouble is, most of the, for a lot of the non-trivial ones, it will be open source, GPL v3, BSD, BSD without, with this exception. So it will be a long list for stuff like that.
It's a lot of effort and not much.
Not very useful for most users. I mean, most users.
So is there any point of having that labeled here? Or can we just for the commercial apps have a price and the others just leave out the info?
It's still interesting to know when a commercial application is open source.
I mean, that's something we could add in the agent side. You just add more.
Yeah, for the stuff that comes from the agent, yeah, we can have more detailed license information. Yeah. For partner, I mean, we can have a mechanism to override the information so that partners can write free for non-commercial use or this kind of stuff. I mean, that's definitely doable.
Dragging installed applications to the launcher, that's something we can do now that we have the Unity launcher, or we could even just put the application in the launcher by default, and we'll remove it if they want it somewhere else.
How does that work precisely? Because you then open the details view as you want to drag it, or?
No, I don't think it should require a drag at all. I think it should just happen automatically.
Oh, you install it and it will just appear in the launcher?
Yeah, and then so that it's obvious how to launch it, and then if you're comfortable enough to remove it, then you can remove it.
Right, it's interesting. That's easy for Unity to do. I mean, you don't have to do anything in Software Center. They just need to listen to the right
Well, we
debug
want
signals.
to show a transition of some sort, and maybe we need to do some work, but yeah. Categorize list view screen, that's something for Matthew, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, it's hard because we kind of need to rework the stuff we've got.
It's hard to make it fast.
Kind of got to think about it.
Right, this is a way of simplifying the list of installed applications without making it look too much like the Get Software screen.
Yeah.
History and enhancements, refining the layout and making it possible to navigate to the individual items that you've installed or removed, and making it a bit easier to undo what you did.
And making it faster.
And how much do we want to show? Like, do we want all the history we've got at the moment going back?
I don't see why not. I mean, it's all collapsed by default, so you can only expand the bits you're interested in.
Would we use the afterlogs for that?
Yeah, this is what we do right now. It's the most reliable way of...
Right, it would work even if you didn't use Software Center.
Exactly. It use whatever tool, it will work whatever application you use.
Converting or navigating to an item via search doesn't show us how much a subsection that's about codariity effects.
Yeah, I just wanted there so it's
Yeah, which should be done, I guess, fairly early in the order cycle, so right now. Thanks. Convert to use G settings, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, we don't have, that's just a placeholder.
Okay.
Yeah, we just do it.
Yeah, we just do it.
Copying installations across computers, OneConf, this is something that Didier Roche started in the last cycle, and there's a kind of beta level implementation of it in the archive if you want to try it out, which is a plugin. If that got good enough, would we be interested in installing by default?
If it's, yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to. If it works well, and you know, if we're happy with it. I mean, last cycle, I personally was a bit uncomfortable with it because it was very new, and the desktop couch had some issues. So I think it was the right thing to push it back. But this cycle, I mean.
Okay.
What are you showing me for that?
This is OneConf, which makes it possible to know what's on your other computers. It's basically it will sync the installed applications across all your machines. So you can see what is on this computer but not on the other, what is on the other computer. Yeah, it's interesting. It's unique. I mean, no one else has it basically. I mean, macOS and Windows can't do it, but we can, and a lot of people have MacBooks nowadays. So it's it has a great potential in my opinion. We just need to try to figure out what's the most useful way of using this information. Like, is it really that you want to keep your computers all in sync, like have the same packages installed on all of your machines, or is it that, I don't know, it's so new, I guess.
How far away would something, if you chose to do something with that, be?
Many time frame. I mean, we have a working version. It's really a matter of figuring out, at least in my opinion, figuring out what's the most important use of the information.
I think propagating to new machines.
Right. Yeah, the other one, of course, is if you reinstall it, you can just say, please install the same packages as I have on my other machine.
It would be nice, like the bundle concept, if you could like somehow broadcast a bundle, like these are my favorite programming apps, and so you can just go to another computer and be like, oh, my setup's like right there.
I mean, it would be useful to put that bundle somewhere where an arbitrary person could get it, not just yourself, right? So I could say,
Michael's.
yeah, go give me, like, here's my website, here's what I do when I install Ubuntu, I install these games.
Maybe you can choose from your Ubuntu one content.
So the IRC bot seems to be absent, but our session is, our time is up. So, thank you everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks.